All right, so hello. Today we will be diving into the world of open source software and blockchain innovation. I really couldn't think of two better people to join us today than these two pioneering minds in the tech industry. First, we have Val, also known as AvidCoder. He is the maintainer of Python-slugify and lots more. We're also thrilled to have Max Howell. He's the renowned for creating Homebrew. It's a popular package manager for Mac OS. Currently, Max is the CEO of Pkgx and a key contributor to the T protocol, which aims to revolutionize how open source software developers are rewarded. Today, we're going to be exploring their journeys, the impact of their work, their visions for the future of software development, right? So let's get started and dive in. Okay, guys, I know I just breezed through your intros. So Val, I'll pass you the mic. You can give our listeners a proper introduction and a little peek into your life as well.
Sure. My name is Val Neekman. I'm known as AvidCoder online. I am very active, have been very active on GitHub. I use GitHub mainly to share what I've created with the rest of the world, whoever that they could grab my creation and not spend their precious time to recreate what I've created already. I appreciate if they take it, provide feedback, and just pay it forward. And that has been my background. The other things that I do is that I'm a consultant. I go to places and I develop packages and softwares. It is great for me to leave my prior art in somewhere public, so I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I just take what I've got and give companies perpetual licenses or some sort of licenses, and they could use my software. This way, product to market is going to be way faster because I do not have to reinvent the wheel. One of the packages that we talk about is Python-slugify. It's being used by more than 60, 70,000 projects, but a lot of companies, all major companies, they're using it. It's very small, but it's got popular, and that is the package that I've got. But I've got a lot of software that they're not installable, hundreds of thousands of lines of code. Fuller Stack is one of them. I've got, as far as a token, I've got a token there in the crypto realm, open source there as well. And I try to contribute in any ways I can. Go ahead, Max. Thank you.
Thank you, Val. I've been in open source 20-ish years. I got into it because I discovered the other career choice I'd made wasn't actually a career choice I enjoyed. Found Linux, installed it, got involved in open source communities, discovered the beauty of open source and how passionate it made me. So got myself into the normal industry via open source, which I think was more doable then than it is nowadays. But created Homebrew at that first company, and I've been riding the wave of trying to work on open source more. Full time would be great. That's the plan. Since then, and it was a couple of years ago now that I just spontaneously came up with the idea for T protocol as doing something different to try and fix that issue with open source, where everyone like me and Val who does it, cannot find a way that we can really realistically do it part-time or in full-time, like we dedicate evenings and weekends instead, or persuade our employer that it's vital to what they're doing for us to work on it some of the time. That's where we're at.
Well, that's great. The Homebrew, I tell you how many times that I use Homebrew. Every time I use Homebrew, there is a little bit of positive energy from my keyboard is coming your way. Just remember
that. Well, thanks. It's sometimes, when things aren't going well, I'm like, lots of people are getting value out of a lot of the things I've made. So that makes me feel a little better for sure. I'm just glad that it was successful, honestly. It was the thing I needed, and I thought I had some innovative ideas for how to present it and push it and build it. Yeah. And it was very validating for sure, like my biggest success so far. So I got into open source, like I say. Programming had been a thing that I was interested in, but I never really thought it was a career path. And when I was disenchanted with my other choices, I explored what was out there and discovered like this vibrant community of people? Like, how did you initially get into open source?
My background is electrical engineering. I attended Carleton University in Ottawa, and I graduated in '98. But before that, I had to leave for 1 year to work as an intern at a company called Nortel Networks. And as a hardware engineer, they put you in a lab. They have to keep the rooms cool, and the fans, they're going, and I'm allergic to dust. Probably you could hear it in my voice that I have some sort of allergies. And I just couldn't bear with that. And the moment the modems got fast enough, modems, not DSL yet.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? It would be really nice if I could work from home, but I could not move like $2 million lab to my home. And I said, you know what? When I go back to do my last semester, I'm going to just take all the computer courses because they're optionals, and I'm going to pivot. And I did that. The first job that I got, it was a software engineering in '98. And I moved to California during the bubble. I was there building all those DSL technologies that, enable the Facebook and Google of the world to exist today. And that's how I turned into software. And I realized when I got in, I realized that my brain was pre-wired for software. I really enjoyed it. I still, to this day, really enjoy sitting there and creating meaningful software, something that fixes an issue or helps with the pain, whether it's private for a client or public for the general audience and the open source community.
Yeah, well, I know that feeling very well. Like, what was the first piece of open source that you created?
There was I wanted to create an answering machine that automatically took the messages and emailed the messages to. I did have a small QNX powered box with a small display. I cannot recall the name now. 3Com built it. It's an old technology. So I wanted to receive my email on that platform. So I bought a modem and I wrote some software that and I plugged it to the house, whenever somebody called on the PSTN plain, old telephony network, it detected the call coming in and it terminated the call on the software that I had, and then recorded the audio, attached it to an email and sent it to my device. And there was an LED on the device would blink. When I come home and I see the LED blinks, it was really nice. I just press a button because it was touch screen, and I could hear who left me a voicemail. This is before iPhone, before anything else. And it was a shock and awe moment for anybody who came to visit me in our house. That was the first piece that I made public.
Where you published that on SourceForge or something like that back then?
I don't know whether it was Google SVN. I don't know where it was, but I made it public. It was just one page of a text file that I published. I don't know where, but I made it public.
It's fun.
It was quite rewarding, though. It was very rewarding.
Yeah, well, other people like saying, "Hey, this is awesome, nice work."
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's fun to talk about the 90s and the early 2000s for tech. I think there wasn't nearly as many of us working in it then, is the truth of it. Like, the industry really exploded, I'd say, about 2007 when the iPhone
It was after GitHub. I think GitHub was like, even Bitbucket tried with their Python version, didn't go anywhere when GitHub showed up. Everybody switched from Google. They dumped the SVN and they moved over. And a lot of people went from Bitbucket. I had accounts on both sides because Bitbucket was free for private. So I kept some stuff for the clients there. But GitHub probably made the explosion occur. And right now, GitHub is behind the Copilot, which is great because they kind of sampled everybody's software. And I'm sure some piece of my coding style and signature is appearing in somebody else's hint when Copilot goes, "Hey, why don't you do it this way?" So this is kind of nice. What you've created indirectly through AI is cross-pollinating throughout the world. That is feedback that I get as far as the way that I think about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that a lot of the times the Copilot like puts some swear words in comments. That's my fault.
Yeah. Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah, GitHub really did change things, because before that, yeah, we had SourceForge or Google's like attempt to allow people to publish code up there, but GitHub really understood the social nature, and that you could combine that with Git. So yeah, I remember that. I think I was on GitHub in 2006. We adopted it quite early, and I saw the potential there. Like, certainly, Homebrew's success is a large part because of GitHub, for sure, and various other factors. But without GitHub, I don't think it would have gone anywhere.
That's why I recommend. That's why I encourage the young folks to start from somewhere. It doesn't have to be a perfect idea. You know, Gravatar showed up, and the creator of Gravatar managed to pivot out of Gravatar and create GitHub. Start from somewhere, and you're going to go to places. Don't just procrastinate and say, "Hey, you know, I'm going to wait for the perfect idea to show and present itself to me." Just start from anything and share it with the community and get the feedback and build on that. That's my encouragement for the younger folks.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to agree with that. Like, if you have the entrepreneurial spirit, then you need to, and you want to be that kind of person, then get out there and build stuff. It's not for everyone. Like, they sometimes find when they put stuff out there that they can't handle how that feels to them. But if you can get over that, then that's how I went about things as well.
You know what I say in the startup world: throw it at the wall. Hopefully he sticks. If he doesn't, you'd know it right away. Just throw out things at the wall and see which one sticks. That's what I did. Probably we talked about this in the past. That's somehow I wanted to make sure the now that I've shut down the project, I could talk about it. I wanted to help people who create things, whether it's software, whether it's how-tos on YouTube, having the ability to send anonymous funds to each other. I created Play Forward in a couple of weeks, brought it up. Unfortunately, the timing and the concept that I had in mind didn't work out. And when I saw your project and I saw that everything that I wanted to do was showing itself, presenting itself in your project, when we first communicated through email, I said, you know what, I got to go and support this team. Why? Because it is going to be beneficial to everybody. So T project, anybody that, if you have not heard it, go look it up. T protocol. It's great for the open source community, and I have a lot of high hopes for it.
Thank you. That's great to hear, because obviously this entire purpose genuinely is to try and help open source in a significant fashion, where like other attempts like in the past just haven't quite managed to work out. So have you ever received like significant amounts of funding for any of your open source projects in the past?
Not for open source, but in 2006, I raised some money to create a small startup, telephony, because that was the era of telephony before the iPhones and the FaceTime and WhatsApp. And that is my interaction with the community that provides funds for startups. But for open source, I have not reached out to anybody. From time to time, I thought maybe I put something at the bottom, buy me a coffee, because people were doing it. But then again, I could not put things like that and then go win multi-million dollars contract from big major companies, right? I'm not I don't want to show that I'm a small player, because the last big contract that I was involved in, technically, providing guidance, a $50 million project, 200 developers in all continents. So for that reason, I'm not going to go buy me a coffee. If I create it, it's just for me right now, to prove that is my prior art, and indirectly for you to enjoy it. So that has been the business plan that I've got. The value proposition for me is that for you is just enjoy some software that is MIT. All I want is just leave my name on top, do as you wish with the software that I create.
Yeah, MIT is my preference as well.
Yeah.
Not really. I used to use
it's one paragraph. It can't be simpler than that. Just leave my name there, please. And I don't provide any guarantees or anything. Just leave my name there, morph it as you wish.
Mm-hmm. And, yeah, you talk about things that resonate with me. Is I think a lot of open source devs have had to choose other ways of making it possible for them to pay their bills that they might not have chosen. I'm sure that you have had a very happy and successful career with your choices, but we want it to be possible so devs who do open source don't have to make that trade-off and those choices. They have the option to just work on open source.
Just should be full-time on it. Is that the reason that why you decided to create the T protocol, T project? If you could just spend some time and explain it in layman's terms, when the idea came to your mind that, okay, I got to do this and I got to do it now. Why today? Why now?
Yeah, well, it was about 2.5 years ago that I was once again in between contract work or, like normal developer work. And I was working on open source. And a few years before that, I tried to set up a Patreon and GitHub sponsors and try to make it so that I could earn enough to not need to pursue other work. And that hadn't worked out. So once again, I was in that position and I was like, is there anything new? And I looked and there wasn't anything that I felt was going to work. It's still, everything was treating open source like a charity where the most you can really do is approach people for sponsorship or grants and beg them essentially. And so I just figured that if no one else was going to find a solution for this, maybe it had to be me who found the solution. So I spent a few weeks just thinking about it, trying to figure stuff out. And I'd never really been a crypto person before that. But while I was doing my research, I saw that crypto does allow you to create a different kind of economic structure. I felt that the way everyone treated open source like the best it could achieve was charity was just a symptom of the fact that our economic structures in this world are inherently capitalist. And I could see how, open source isn't capitalist. It doesn't bolt onto the capitalist model correctly. I got nothing against capitalism at all. I think it was very vital for getting human society to where we are now, but open source just fundamentally doesn't work that way. I saw how with tokenomics and tokens you can build something that works differently, and so I was like, oh, this is an interesting idea. Maybe we can do something with that. So yeah, I reached out and got some funding from various VCs in the space, and yeah, we've been building it 2.5 years now, almost at the launch.
Mm-hmm. I tell you, I created my token as well about 2.5 years ago during the COVID. Had I had the ability to read your mind, probably I would have reached out to you and together would have done it. But I am glad that you have put all your energy behind something sound and solid, because I see that you guys are planning this out and you've got a lot of great people around you. You're average of 5 people around you, right? And I've seen the people that they're around you and supporting you. They're top-notch people. Kudos to them. Now, what is the roadmap for the adoption of T? What timelines do you've got?
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Yeah, so, well, we're in testnet right now, and we're very pleased with the numbers. We got 1.5 million people signed up so far, and most of them are not developers. They're just people who have never really considered what the value of open source is before, right? And they're convinced by our messaging that what we're building here is something that gives open source value, and that they can participate in that. And 15,500 open source projects onboarded. So doing well so far. The next step is obviously to launch the mainnet. So testnet's like the beta, and mainnet is the full product launch. that's when the token becomes real and can be traded on exchanges and things. So the first few months will certainly be seeing how that goes, considering whether or not we need to adjust any of how the tokenomics works, how the T rank works, while we build out the governance features for the protocol, so the open source community can vote on changes. Like the protocol is being launched by a Swiss nonprofit association, and that is so that the VCs that invested in my company do not have say over the direction of the protocol going forward. So an incredibly important part of it is that this needs to be managed by the people it benefits, the open source maintainers. So we've been building out that so that the open source community can influence the direction. Like, let's say, for example, that we got it completely wrong. I don't think we have, but I want the open source community to be able to say that they think that is the case, and then vote on proposals for change. So that over, like, this is a protocol that I want to exist in 20 years, 30 years, however long open source exists for, which presumably is probably forever. But it is possible to have these longer term plans with something that is like a DAO, like that is motivated solely by the people that gain value from that system. Like, companies typically only have 2 to 3 years of plans, right? And we have 5, 10, 20-year plans, like, which obviously will adjust as we go. So yeah, the next steps: launch, see how it goes, build out governance features, and then we have a few plans for the next 5 years, maybe more like 2 years, which are basically to buoy up the tokenomics, the economics of the system we're building, to make sure that it continues to function for that 20, 30-year period that we're trying to target.
One thing, so I often go visit your app, and I see that some features are still brewing and they're not ready. And I see some features, they're available on 2 screens. I find it a little bit confusing. One thing that I encourage to the user that they just log into the app is perfection, or the desire for perfection usually kills the progress. Don't be like that. Go in there, spend your time, look around, and then you're going to find, and everything is going to present itself to you. With that said, when do you think all the features are going to be completed?
Well, some will be available before mainnet. We're still working on them currently. And then I'd say the features that we're saying are still brewing in the app itself over the next 6 to 12 months, like probably will launch without the teaser in there, but yeah. Then,
I'm hoping,
as I say, we got.
And I'm hoping that at some point, the value proposition, the gravity of your app, it's going to be such that it's going to be a good value proposition for GitHub to provide native APIs to. So when I'm on GitHub, I could just raise a bounty or something against somebody else's project that goes through your system without having a need to log in and do too many things, 5 steps to just issue that bounty. That would be really nice if at some point I see the integration between GitHub native API and your protocol.
Yeah, absolutely. We have good relationships with GitHub now. They are optimistic, but a little skeptical about what we're building. And, I imagine that once they see the success of it after mainnet, that we'll be able to open some discussions there to build out some, obviously we're going to make everything available as APIs that can be called as soon as we can. But yeah, like it's a good suggestion.
No, that's amazing. Now, do you have, as a founder of this company, this protocol, this way of allowing people to help each other? Help me, help you. This is the true sense of help me, help you. What message would you have for the people like me that we have a lot of open source projects, but we just don't have the headspace to come and look at yet another protocol. What message do you have for them to come in and to give your protocol or the T protocol a look?
Yeah, great question. I'm completely committed to this, like personally. This isn't a money grab from the people that are involved in this protocol. This is something that it's my mission in life to make sure that this is a success, so that open source can fix like its major glaring single problem, that is the people who build out the software that powers all modern software and the internet as a whole do not have incentive to do that, and we're just basically relying on their good-heartedness to continue to provide the tooling that we need in order to improve the world. So, I'm not going to be going anywhere. I'm going to be here in 10 years, still making sure the protocol's successful. I'm hoping that after a few years, like that's going to be just something which it's set, and that like it requires less active thought about what to do and what to change. But yeah, I'll be making sure we get to that point. And I think that's different to a lot of projects in this space that really are kind of money grabs. Like, we're a utility token that is trying to make the world a better place. We believe in the tenets of the Web3 space and the Web2 space and the original vision that people had for the internet and software as a whole. So, I understand the skepticism surrounding crypto projects. I really do. Like, I was there myself just 3 years ago. Like, I didn't really believe in this space. But I come to understand that it's a technology, and if the people behind that technology or using that technology have good intention, then you can back that project.
Now, the way that I sell the T project, first I got to tell people that I'm not affiliated with the T project. I just wish them all the best and success. I don't know whether it's going to succeed or not. I'm not a fortune teller, but I do my best to contribute if I can to see their success. For me, this message is for all those open source lovers. If you want to see a person, if you want to see where they go, you have to look to see where they've been, where they come from. And just looking at Homebrew, that is just telling me that when you start something, you see it to the end. You make sure that whether it's for money or not, you've proven that without money, you bring a project and you enrich the ecosystem and everybody's enjoying that piece of software that you've created. And for that, I encourage people to come and join the T protocol, create your account, bring your projects in, and together we could help each other. And when there is a teenager somewhere in a small town in India, they just get a small laptop, they come there, they create something, they bring it to the world. Look what I've created. This is going to be a great way to reward that kid, to say, hey, you know what? Just for taking the initiative, this is your reward, and you could take it and you could cash it. That would be empowered by your protocol. And I'm looking forward to it, to the day that we could do that. Reach out to every corner of the world, and just help the contributors from all walks of life. Doesn't matter whether you're a high school student, you're a university student, you're in the village in India, Philippines, or anywhere. You know that people appreciate what you create because you're a creator and you're a contributor. In some, point in your life, you're going to be somebody really important. So that's how we encourage that. And your protocol enables us that have the ability to support those folks that they just starting, enables us to reach out and help them out. So that is my message to the folks that have not had a chance to look at the T protocol.
Yeah, thank you. That's a beautiful message, and it really embodies what we believe here. And it's very, very heartwarming to hear. You get lost in the weeds building this kind of stuff sometimes, and you forget that this really can do a lot of good to a lot of people.
I'm looking forward to it, to that day. Any other last minute question that you have for me as a fellow open source enthusiast?
What is your toolbox like nowadays?
What I do, I stay within the enterprise web applications. That's the narrow field that I've made the most number of mistakes in. And imagine there is a healthcare company that they have 1/3 of the American patients registered in their database, and they use some outdated Adobe features and toolkits to build their first app. The sunset clause is kicking in, and they need to convert quickly to modern applications, whether it is Nest, React, Angular, or whatever. And they don't want to create an application that the user has to spend too much time to figure out how to operate. Everybody knows how to operate the browser. So they just want to bring that application, whether it's a single page application or a combination of two. That is where I step in, and it's SaaS pretty much, but not as far as providing services to others, creating a full package for a company. And usually the apps that I create, they're behind the firewall, so they don't need to worry about SEO and optimization or anything. It's just the quality of experience that the end user will get, whether it's performance or the look and feel. That is the niche that I operate in. I am located in Waterloo, Eastern time zone, but I have many clients in the US from coast to coast to coast. Neekware Inc. is my company, and that was my shameless plug.
Well, I'm glad you got to do it. And if that sounds good to our audience, you should definitely hit up Val at his website there.
Yeah,
Val
at neekware.com.
Val's been in the industry a long time, and he really knows his shit. So
exactly, absolutely. I'm still learning.
Well, thanks very much.
Still learning. Thank you. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And reach out to me if you need anything. Sometimes you just need an idea. Toss the idea against the wall. I will be your wall.
Thank you.
Yeah, seriously, thank you guys for the great conversation. I'm sure our listeners had an amazing time listening to this. So really, that's a wrap. Once again, I want to thank you, Val. Thank you, Max, really for sharing your valuable experiences and honestly your innovative spirits, right? And motivation too, really for our listeners. And to our listeners, I want to say thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for some deep dives into the tech that is shaping our world. Until next time, let's keep pushing boundaries and stay curious.
Thank you. Ciao.